Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes. Amazing to gather in the light and meditate. And we've begun this already. We are meditating on the topic beyond fear. So when we connect with our own calm and stability, it helps us have clarity, it helps us have awareness, it helps us have expansive access to inspiration and insight and perspective that extends beyond the bounds of the separate individual self. So if we stay with the bounds of the separate individual self, we probably will be subject to fear. And so we're working compassionately with wisdom and joy and awareness with the separate individual self, which is capable of experiencing fear, remembering that our expansive awareness is fearless, has never known a moment of fear. And so we're connecting, if you like, you can call it the light of soul. If you like, you can call it your true nature. If you like, you can call it your higher self. If you like, you can call it God, Divine Mother, Divine Father, whatever your word for that be, that holds us always. And so when we become aware that our beautiful, sometimes skittery human self is experiencing fear, that's just an indicator. It's a reminder, an opportunity, an invitation to connect with that never afraid, always courageous and brave, always giving us the strength and courage to love, awareness that is our true beingness. So a couple of invitations and a couple of very practical practices. So first invitation comes from Lahiri, and I really love him because he's like so to the point. He says, give this up. Do not be afraid of anything. So that's it. I mean, right there. We could just stop right there. That's it. And there's an invitation there. I give permission to myself to let go of fear. I give permission to myself to become aware of the ways in which this body carries fear. This mind carries fear. This heart carries fear. Part of this is ancestral. Part of it comes down to us in our DNA. Part of it is that training that our ancestors needed to be able to run from the tiger or the bear or to engage in battle. And we can access that fear response. And our culture gives us invitations to access it continually, kind of 24/7. And then that fear response can be turned on all the time. And then our bodies forget how to sleep, how to rest, how to digest, how to integrate, how to remember that expansive awareness. And so we're reminding ourselves we also have the ability to relax. We also have the ability to expand beyond the startle response, expand beyond the fear-based part of our brain, expand back into that awareness which connects us with the divine and with all possibility and all presence. And so Lahiri's incredibly to the point teaching invites, urges, and as soon as we are aware of this, requires all of us to take account of the way in which each of us carries fear, and to have courage and joy and willingness about looking at that, being willing to face it, and being willing to let it go. Being willing to identify ourselves in different ways than the fear-based way would have us identify ourselves. And so for each of us, this will take a slightly different shape, it'll take a slightly different configuration, but it's just part of the practice. If we have a human brain, we get to unlearn these fear-based responses. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. It's just, are we willing? Are we joyful? How much fun can we have? How much support can we give to one another? And so that's why I also began by sharing that teaching from the Yoga Vashishta, which says that one of the pillars, one of the gatekeepers to liberation, to freedom, is gathering in a meditation community, is gathering in the company of truth, so that everyone who's here, from all backgrounds, from all angles of vision, can remind ourselves, this is possible. And here's how I do that. This is possible. And I see you doing that. And it's amazing. And your light shines even more steadily and brightly when you do that. And so we give ourselves this incredible gift when we willingly engage in our own practice, but also when we gather in community. And together in community, we strengthen our ability to let go of the fear-based ways of seeing and understanding and evaluating. And we move back into our true awareness, that expansive, pure love, complete healing grace awareness. And so another opening teaching, an invitation for all of us. Swami Nityananda says, in the presence of divine love, fear cannot be. And so that's another very direct pathway. So if fear arises, I choose to go straight to divine love. I let myself go straight to divine love. I allow divine love to support me in such a way that there is no fear. Fear just is not present in my body. It's not present in my mind. It's not present in my heart. And what happens then is that pure love awareness will be thinking through us, speaking through us, making choices through us. And I'm just reminding, we all know this, but our actions, our thoughts, our words affect hundreds of people. And so every single time we choose the courage to love, we choose to stand calm and strong and steady in connecting with that complete healing grace, we make that possible. We make that present everywhere that we find ourselves. We make it more available and more present. We're all so interconnected, so much ourselves, and also completely interwoven with all that is, that no choice that we make is for ourselves alone. It makes that love, that calm, that stability, that strength, that total healing grace more available for everyone every time we make that choice ourselves. And so I also just want to remind ourselves the Om was a way of practicing moving beyond fear. And so this is a great tool. Padma demonstrated this driving here, but it's a great tool to have with us always. So if we see something that is based on aggression or hostility or fear, one thing that we can do is invite the Om to energetically clear not only ourselves, but that situation. And so I'm going to invite us to close our eyes to help us be more aware of this. But anywhere in yourself where you have been aware, it can be within you, it can be seemingly in relation to another, it can be on a street corner, it can be in the world, it can be in your family, at your workplace, in your house. Anywhere that you've had a feeling of hostility or aggression or ill will or fear, just call that into your awareness briefly, and then we're going to offer an Om, and we're inviting the Om to clear our own energy, but also to energetically clear that situation, that person, that relationship. So with that intention, let us offer an Om. And then the second Om, and you can already feel the way that that helps shift the consciousness, the frequency, the energy. The second Om, we are inviting us to connect with our own calm and stability, but we're also activating the energy of calm and stability in that person, in that situation, in that relationship. And so on behalf of calm and stability, we offer a second Om. And then a third Om, and this can be an Om that activates the energy of complete healing grace, the energy of divine love, the energy of cooperation, the energy of harmony, the energy of absolute peace. Activating that in ourselves and in all, let us offer an Om. And notice, allow yourself to feel and notice the shift in energy, in consciousness, in awareness, in harmony, in optimism, in possibility, in positivity that is available. And notice how we give ourselves a gift of inner freedom, inner liberation, inner calm and kindness and caring, inventiveness and playfulness and ingenuity and good humor when we practice in that particular way. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed. I'm going to blink mine open. What we just practiced, you could think of in different ways. One of the ways to think of it is that it's a really important part of energy hygiene. So the same way that we brush our teeth in the morning before we go out the door, energy hygiene is an amazing gift to give ourselves as we move through the day. And this is just part of having a body. Like if you have a body, you get to take a shower or a bath. So if you have a body, you also get to be accountable for its energy, for the energy which it comes into contact with, for the energy which it helps generate and produce. And so also be aware that when we reset our energy in that way, when we have that ability to refresh our energy, then we're able to connect with that current of complete healing grace, divine love, that freedom, that freshness, that expansiveness, whatever your name for it is, but that pure heart energy, what you love, what you adore. And that is able to guide us. That is able to be very present with us wherever we find ourselves in time and space, whatever the conversations we're engaging in, whatever the tasks are that we're performing. It helps us be completely here and completely present. And that is one of the definitions of enlightenment. And so I have a teaching from the Zen tradition, which reminds us of that. And it's an extremely short teaching, and it's one that can make me smile. So I hope it makes you smile as well. But there's a story about a student who goes to a temple, and he meets the teacher, and he says, "I've just arrived, I'm here. Will you teach me?" And the teacher says, "Have you eaten your rice porridge?" And the student says, "Yes." And the teacher says, "Well, then you had better wash your bowl." That's it. Right there, that's the teaching. And it is said that in that moment, the student was enlightened. And so there's a couple of things. Meditate on that story forever, because you can never exhaust it. But there's a couple of things to point out. Right where you are, this is where we begin. The divine is present. The light is available. The leaven has already pervaded the entire loaf. The kingdom of heaven is already everywhere. And so that teaching is giving permission to that student to be where that student is, to be right where you are. And that's where the light is, right where you are. Light's not going to be anywhere else other than where you are. And so be fully where you are. And the washing of the bowl is lovingly, joyfully, willingly, without resentment, without delay, without resistance, taking care of the tasks that the divine would like to take care of through you. So that's the divine life purpose. Being where you are, taking care of the tasks that the divine would like to take care of through you. And humans tend to complicate this. They tend to think, well, there's something wrong with me. I should be somewhere else than Baltimore. What am I doing in Baltimore? What am I doing in this family? Padma was so honest about that. What am I doing in this strange place? Every human on the planet thinks that. What am I doing in this strange place? And so this story from the Zen tradition, from the Zen teachings, is telling us right where you are. That's amazing. That's perfect. That's beautiful. That's where the light is, right where you are. And right doing what you're doing, that's where the light is. And so to allow yourself to be that incredible awareness, that presence, that light, like right where you are. There's also a way to read that teaching that says we are invited assiduously. Ramana's word for it is relentlessly to take care of our practice. So Ramana says that our practice must be unrelenting until we are completely established in absolute peace, in the self, in complete healing grace, in pure divine infinite love. And so any departure from being completely established in pure divine infinite love, we feel it. We absolutely feel that kind of feeling of restlessness, that feeling of discomfort, that feeling of, oh, I need to get back to that energy of peace. And there's actually in the yogic traditions a prayer, a song, where the singer, Chaitanya, sings, oh, for that moment when an instant of separation from the divine feels like 1,000 years. So it does. An instant of separation from the divine feels like 1,000 years. And we all know it. So when we go straight to divine love, in accordance with Swami Shankarananda's teaching, that divine love will tell us anywhere within us that is not harmonious with divine love, it'll show us where we're being invited to clean our rice bowl. And that happens 50,000 times a day. And so we're just invited 50,000 times a day to clean our rice bowl if we're not harmonizing with that full, pure energy of divine love. So a couple of other teachings that help us move beyond fear. Ramana says, one who seeks inwardly in quest of the self does not get frightened by any impediment that may seem to stand in the way of carrying on the practice of meditation. The very thought of such obstacles is the greatest impediment. And so we're invited to be fearless in our practice, to be fearless in being present right where we are, to be fearless in attending to our tasks, to be fearless in being unrelenting in our practice until we are completely and always established in that energy of divine love. Another thing that really helps us, and I have here two teachings which are saying something very similar. One is from Adi Shankar, and the other is from St. Paul, from 1 Corinthians 13. Adi Shankar tells us the entire world is like a city seen in the mirror, the seeing happening within one's own being. Everything that we're seeing is showing us ourselves. It's showing us our own consciousness, our own awareness. And it is a witnessing happening within the light of soul, witnessing the externally projected world, projected by the power of Maya as if a dream in sleep. And so just to remember and to be accountable for what it is that we are seeing. So I had a meeting with a colleague whom I know well enough to have this conversation with. She sat down at the meeting, it was like a 9 a.m. meeting, and she said, oh my gosh, I do actually respect you, but I didn't clean my glasses this morning. And so I'm looking at you through these blurry, smeary, dreary glasses. But I do respect you, and I meant to clean my glasses. And so she was taking responsibility for her own vision. She was taking responsibility for cleaning her own lens. And this is a perfect example of what we're all invited to do continually, so that we're seeing with clarity. There's no obstruction to our vision. And I'm sure you have observed, maybe you have observed this within yourself, it is also possible for there to be, and I'm thinking of another person whom I interacted with, this was several years ago. This was a person whose energy was just very pugilistic, so fists out, kind of ready to punch all the time. And even if this person intended an exchange to be like amiable and friendly and cheerful, fists out. They were kind of punching, and it was clearly happening beneath the conscious awareness of this person. So what happens then is that person, because they are unconsciously projecting this energy of pugilism, they meet with the energy of pugilism in others. And so that energy of pugilism, because without knowing it, they're walking into a room sort of going like this, that energy of pugilism is what meets them. So the people who are in that room, who are also ready to kind of start swinging, they react, they respond to that energy. And so notice what happens, and this is the teaching from Adi Shankar. The person who's walking around unconsciously with pugilism in their energy field, they seem to receive external confirmation that that's the way the world is. And it's true for them. It's the way the world is because they walk into the room with that energy of pugilism. And then they have, like, it would be called confirmation bias or reticulation, among other things. It's like if you buy a white car and then suddenly you start to see white cars everywhere. Right? So energy of pugilism is in this person's field, and so then they have this, well, why is the world so pugilistic feeling? And they even can point to examples. They even could be, but I just walked into that room, and I was met with this, and they don't know that it's because that energy field is walking into that room before them. And so this is what this teaching from Adi Shankar is telling us. Clean your glasses. Be responsible for clearing, balancing, harmonizing, stabilizing your own energy. And when you do that, you will walk into the room and have a completely different experience of that room than if a person who has that energy of pugilism walks into that room. Same room. They will have a completely different experience of that same room. And they're not often aware that they're seeing themselves. And so that's what this teaching from Adi Shankar is saying. The entire world is like a city seen within a mirror, the seeing happening within one's own being. And so we are helping to project and create what seems to be coming at us from the realm of time and space. We are helping to project and create that. A really beautiful example, and I know I'm running out of time, but Srimati Shanti Mataji, when we would send her healing love, she would say, on the same ray on which you send me healing love, on that same ray I send healing love back to you. And so that's an example of the way this power of projection, this power of creation, this power of generating experience in the realm of time and space works positively. So that when we harmonize, when we optimize, when we balance, when we energize what we would love to experience, that gets magnified. And it gets magnified for us, and it gets magnified for others as well. St. Paul says the same thing. It's the same teaching. Now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. A way to read this is, as long as we are perceiving through our human perception, we will only ever see partially. Only ever. No matter who we are, no matter how much work we have done. It's when we step out beyond the bounds of the separate individual self, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And St. Paul too guides us to love. Again and again and again, we are guided to love. So the very next sentence is, and now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. And so that's the gift we're giving ourselves. When we see with love, that is when we see fully. that is when we are seeing the completeness of the healing grace that is always present. That is when we are aware of the kingdom of heaven, which is everywhere. It's the very energy of existence, the very energy of life itself, the very energy that makes all of this possible. And so we're tuned into that energy, and we're supported by that strength. We're supported by that calm. We're supported by that stability. And we have, by grace, the ability to be fearless in the midst of daily life. In the midst of human existence, by grace, we have the strength to be courageous, open-hearted love. Thank God, and God bless us all.